Civilian Public Safety Board and Auditor is going to be the primary function for us to really keep the recommendations going, keep things alive. We're going to select an auditor probably through DCJS, and that person is going to be given a scope annually, make recommendations to the board, and really just try to make the public safety sector for our city the best that it can be. The board is also going to have the function to streamline complaints given about officers and make sure that there is greater accountability and transparency in the process. So Green Light Districts is actually an initiative that first started in Detroit, Michigan, and the idea and concept is to collaborate with businesses and the Common Council to establish certain districts in the area to put up cameras or allow the sharing of the camera footage from those businesses to make sure that we have a better surveilled neighborhood and that we can increase the sense of security and safety. Now, one notion is that these are primarily for inner cities or areas where we have a lot of crime, but it's not. Green Light Districts will serve those communities, but it also will serve places like downtown Utica, where with the new hospital we'll be able to have a greater sense of security. People can feel more safe, and you'll have big, bright green lights and signage to say that this area is monitored by the police department 24/7. What we're hoping is with this that we can kind of set up something where the businesses don't feel that they have to go to court, because that's part of the issue. Businesses feel, well, if I give you my video, then I'm going to be subpoenaed and have to come to court. This would just take all that off the table. What I'm thinking is we can compel a business to do it, and then I'm hoping that we can just give them a tax break. You might recall the Common Council this year did vote, and I supported that ordinance to lift the residency requirement for the police officers. The misconception is that police officers do not have to live in the city of Utica. That's not the case. The law says that they have to live in the city of Utica for 5 years if they are a new hire. So in that process, we took a proactive step to make sure that they're not just living here, but that they're getting to know the people in this community, that they're becoming familiar with the area, and that they learn the names, the community, the businesses, the church leaders, that when they're on the job and they have to respond to a call, they can have a better sensitivity with the dynamics of the community.
One of the things our reform board did that you'll see other departments have done is increase implicit bias training. Our police already go through implicit bias training, but here in Utica we decided it was important to make it happen every year instead of every other year. The committee also put the directive on to have the training happen by local instructors when it can. Now, anybody that's been in implicit bias training in work knows it's just a conversation about race where people are telling you how you feel, and if you have a good implicit bias training, people of other races can tell you how they're perceived. In a city that's as diverse as ours, we want to make sure those conversations are happening, people feel safe to have them, and that it's constantly on the forefront of other people's minds of how it feels to be that other person and what biases you might have towards them. So our police are going to go through that every year now. One thing we know is that if you know somebody, it's harder to mistreat them. And on the flip side of that, it's easier to cooperate with them. We got to build trust. The mayor always says the most important thing is building trust in the community. And one of the ways we want to do that is by making sure that when we hire a new police officer here in the city of Utica, that members of the community see him giving back to the city, giving back to the community. Taxpayers work hard every day. They take money out of their check and they give it to you for you to have a job. Service should be incumbent upon all of us when we're in public situations, because we should show them that we appreciate that they're the ones that cut our checks. And so when we hire a new police officer, he has to be involved in community service events while he's on his probationary period, or she. And the purpose of that is to serve, to have an appreciation for the new employment position you got, but also to meet people in the community and to try to build those relationships and get to know them, so that the next time you see somebody, they're a little more comfortable with you and you're a little more comfortable with them because of the community service you've done together. There's some members that were on our police reform board that work with populations that speak with different languages. Almost everybody in Utica works with populations that speak different languages, but some of them are immigrants who spoke different languages before they came here, and some of them work with individuals that are deaf or hard of hearing. And we want to try to avoid one of those tragic miscommunications. You know, we don't want something to happen that shouldn't have otherwise happened because, you know, a police officer wasn't able to identify a language barrier. We want to make sure that when we get people that can't hear or have a hard time hearing or that speak a different language, our police officers are trained to recognize that, and they're taught to give hand signals. They're taught about visual stimuluses, so they know how to deal with people with language barriers, because in the city of Utica, you know, it's a trial by fire, but we want to make sure that there's actual training in place so that every officer there is sensitive to that possibility.
Well, I knew it was going to be commitment, and I wanted to do it because of my love for the city. I'm very much interested in the police work, and I love Utica, and I've lived in Utica for 54 years. And I can see from our work that we did, comparative to other work that I've read about in other cities, I see where we really put a lot more into our work. We went further, we went deeper, and I'm really very proud of the work that we did and the work that we put into it, because we wanted it to be better. They're doing great, our policemen are doing great work, but they could be better, and we worked really hard to that effect. Well, Mayor Palmieri was very selective in the people that he wanted on his committee, and I will say that he was spot on. Everyone that he chose said yes, and we all were committed. And so that speaks a lot for who he is. And we had 17 people, and there were more African Americans than there were anyone else on the committee. And that speaks a lot for who he is and what he wanted to get done.
We're in a place now to say what not only can we maintain, but what do we want to build for the future. And so we're having future conversations. We're having conversations about what is Utica going to look like 10, 20 years from now. And in this moment, I see us maximizing our strength, maximizing our uniqueness and diversity. And we see Utica, I really feel, as the mayor said, the best little city in America. But I think Utica is now really positioning itself to be the leader in the Mohawk Valley and really be the capital of this entire region. It's an exciting time, and I'm looking forward to see what Utica will be in the next 4 or 5 years.
I just want to take this opportunity to thank everyone for putting their blood, sweat, and tears into a great reform program. Very proud of it. But this is a moving, living document that will be changed as we go together. So I want to take this opportunity to thank you again for giving the opportunity for the police reform to be a crescendo of a great experience for all of us.